everyone, this is Ada. Welcome back to my channel, and today I am talking about vintage fashion. So I've always loved vintage, but I never had the time when my children were younger, and now that I live in a city, there's a very good antique vintage store around, and you do pick up pieces at the thrift stores, the opportunity stores as we call them in Australia. So I have my little, things on trying to find what I can with vintage, and also I thought I'd just do my small collection I'm going to add to this. But I've been watching a lot of YouTubers who do have a good collection of vintage fashion. So I'll start with my latest handbag, and this is the one I got. That's the front of it, yes. So I fell in love with this straight away. The consignor said it was crocodile. Someone told me it was alligator. I'm not too sure, but I love it. The history on this, so I'll open it up. Just beautiful leather. There's nothing like leather, in the 80s or 70s or even the 90s. This was a company, HRH, which is from Singapore. So it's a beautiful bag. I have not used it yet, but I just appreciate just the style of the bag and what they used to do with skins. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but I just love it. So that is my latest. The strap does go longer. I've just got it on the shortest one. So that's my latest, as I call them, baby. Now I do collect a few leather Orotons. So Oroton, if people don't know, is an Australian label. I would say similar to Coach. So they used to make bags. I think they started in 1938. So this is a bag that I picked up a couple of years back, and I picked it up for travel, and I knew it was vintage. It says Oroton there, and the way I know it's old is because if you look inside, it's got Oroton made in Australia, and Oroton do not make their bags now in Australia. So this would be a 1970s or a 1980s bag, because they haven't gone past, I don't think, the 80s with making them in Australia. I think they made them overseas for a while, and now I think they're made in China. So, and I love this. What I love about vintage bags is even the leather, but the creases on it, just the age, it just rings my bell. So that's another one, and I find this invaluable to take when I'm going on a plane or when I don't want to worry too much. But I really enjoy carrying this bag. I just feel good with a vintage bag in my hand because I think it's got history. So I'm a real vintage girl, and as I get more into it, I get more obsessive about it. I'd say that's my dog, if you can hear that. So that's number two I've had for a while. This one is a very special one to me. This is Oroton as well, and this is definitely a 1970s bag. I'm going to say 1975. I do try and research them because to me it's important to know the history of the bag or a little bit about the bag. But this is beautiful leather. It's probably my oldest bag I have in my collection. And I do use this. What does this one say? This one, yes, made in Australia as well. So it has to be the 70s and the 80s, but I did research this and I think it came up as the 70s. It's just beautiful. Sorry if you can hear that. My dog's barking now. Poppy, stop it. So yes, that's one I've had for a few years. I use this occasionally. So I use all my pieces, but I just use them when it fits in with my outfit or when I feel like using a vintage bag. So that's another one. Now, the rest of my collection, other than a few pieces of jewellery, are from Glomesh. I do collect Glomesh separately, but I know these are vintage bags, so I'm going to add them. I'm not going to do all my little coin purses, but I will do the latest. So this is the latest I picked up from Vinnie's, thrifted. Love it, saw it, it's in perfect condition. It's probably hardly even been used. And it's got Glomesh written inside of it. I do use these. What I do is when I have a special night or a special occasion, I put them in my bigger handbag with money or coins. So I really like this one. One, it was in good condition. Two, it was Glomesh. And three, I didn't have anything with that. That was this beige colour. So sort of like a cappuccino latte colour. So, and there's no scratching or enamel coming off, so I really love that one. These two I have. This is Oroton. So Oroton took off Glomesh there for a while in the 1980s. So this is a vintage bag as well. And this one I think is Gold Crest, which I think is another rip-off label, but I bought it from a consignment pre-loved store in Melbourne. And I know it's vintage, probably not the best of quality, but I still love the colour and this snake, what do you call it? Snake chain, that's it. Snake chain is autonomous with a lot of the glow meshes and everything. So they're two that I've had for years. These two are recently, well, one is recently new. I got this probably only a couple of weeks ago. This is Glomesh. I got this at an RS, so I've just got the tag. I was going to mention too, if you are a vintage collector and you are collecting especially Glomesh, get all the tags that you can. The box, even the paper, well, not paper bag, the plastic bag, because it just makes it authentic and you just know that that's what the packaging was like back then. What is this? So this one was bought at David Jones in Sydney in 1981. So that's how old, and that's why you keep them, because you can date them. Once again, the snake chain. So this one I've already used. I took it out on date night. So that's my latest. Did I say I got it from an RSPCA store, vintage store, opportunity store, thrift store. This one I picked up, which is probably my second newest find. This one I got from a getaway in Stanthorpe. Hadn't been used. Someone won this in a competition, and it's got the date too. I think this one, this is 1980, so it's a year before that other one. And I like this one because it is just the clutch. Sorry, I'll put it in. I've got these stuff, so that's why I'm finding it hard. I'm going to put it in there. And it did come with the mirror. The mirrors don't last, but it had a $2 note. Now, we haven't had $2 notes for years, but the history of that is, to me, I just think it's amazing that someone has won this or someone has carried it with any of my bags, and that's what I love about vintage. So that one, and the few other pieces which I haven't got really any vintage jewellery, but I do have two pieces that I'm going to talk about. And these, I'll get a close-up of these, but these are marquisite brooches. Now, this one is very, it needs to be cleaned. I was looking up this morning how to clean them. This is very, very special to me, and my grandmother gave it to me, and she said, you will look after it, because this was her mother's. Her mother's name was Ada, so my grandmother gave me this just before she passed away, and it just means so much to me. So I'm going to clean it up and see what it comes up like, but it's like a fern leaf, but I'll get a closer picture so you can see them. And when I saw this one at the thrift store, I just had to get it, so this one's a bit cleaner. Yeah, so that means a lot to me. So if I find any more thrifted brooches or something with marquisites, I will buy it to add to my collection, because when I look at vintage, I buy whatever takes my heart. Like I do like cameos, just had to think then, cameos. Mine aren't really vintage, but I have seen a few vintage ones and they're a bit pricey. Let's say you have to pay good money for them, but I will keep adding to my collection, and I'm going to probably see how I go. I'm going to be a bit more picky, I think. I do have my eye on another bag which is from Florence, and it's green and then blue sort of leather, so I'm looking at that one, but I'm going to think carefully before I buy the more expensive ones. I mean, the ones I see thrifted, obviously I'm going to grab because they're a good price. But that's what I've started with, and if you've got a vintage collection or a vintage YouTube channel, please let me know, because I'd like to have a look at what you've got and give me some tips. But that's my video today, so I will keep thrifting and keep looking for vintage pieces and see how many I can get in my collection. Bye.